Good evening. Y'all over there, look at our backside. Why don't y'all come over here? Come up front real quick. Come on, come and get these, Sandy. Are y'all good? Come on, Sam. Go because we don't want to turn toward you. We got time. It's like an elementary school. Come on down. You can do it. Come on, Georgia. Come on. Yeah, right here, right here, Mary. Mary is Mary. There we go. What about this? So, my name is Rick Harper. It's Minister, part-time traffic cop, and this is an intern named Garrett. We're going to speak to you tonight and share. We all hunger. We all hunger. I mean, there's a lot of different hunger. There's a physical hunger, a spiritual hunger, and I believe deep down we all hunger what we call the bread of life, who is Jesus Christ. St. Augustine was the church father 1,500 years ago or so. And I love one of his quotes. He says, "My soul was restless until I found rest in you." Been reading a book about these orphan refugees at the end of World War II over in Germany. And Charles Allen writes that they got all the orphans together. It was a large refugee camp, and they took care of them. They fed them really well, gave them medicine, I mean everything. They were safe, but the kids did not sleep well at night. So they brought the psychologist in, and the psychologist studied the situation, and he said, "I tell you what you do. Give each of these kids a piece of bread at night, not to eat, but to hold." And they did. And the kids slept well because they knew they had bread. And as it was with those refugees during World War II, so it is with us, that we need bread. It's a primal desire, deep down inside, that we need this bread, but not physical, but spiritual bread. True bread. The bread of life. Real life. My father raised us with a lot of, what do you want to call it, aphorisms. So one of them was, remember the 3S tonic. Yeah, we did. And it was that God sustains, God saves, and God salvages. The life of bread, Jesus Christ, who came and died and rose again. 5
and 2.
5
and 2.
5
and 2.
5 players on the hockey rink.
And only 2 in this room care about hockey.
Campus minister, I work 5 days a week.
But the real preachers work the other 2.
Interns get 5 hours off a week.
But we only sleep during 2 of them.
When you go down I-85, the speed is 5.
But beware of those 2 that go that slow, because they're cops.
There are 5 members of One Direction.
And according to Sarah Watson, they are all too sexy.
5, 2, 5.
2.
5,
2.
5.
2. 5 and 2. That's all the little kid had to give. He gave all he had. 5 loaves and 2 tiny fish. Jesus used his gift and worked a miracle. The results was sensational. There was only 5 and 2. So tonight, we are talking about Jesus feeding the 5,000. And as with every story in the Bible, it's good to give a little background. So here goes my background of the story. So Jesus says that he is the bread of life. Those who come to him will not hunger. So Jesus came to earth, sent from God. He had a friend named John the Baptist. He was Jesus' cousin. He baptized Jesus. John was the only person that understood Jesus, and he prepared the way for him. He introduced Jesus to the world. He was popular. Crowds came from all over to listen to him speak truth. It could have been real easy for John to lose focus for what he was on this earth to do, which was to point people to Jesus. But he never lost that focus. He constantly said, I must decrease so that Jesus will increase. Then one day, John got thrown into prison, who was the governor of where Jesus and John were at the time. He told him he couldn't have his brother's wife for himself. Last week, we talked about John's doubts. We read where Jesus told John that he wasn't coming for him. One night at Herod's birthday, a young girl danced for him, and he liked it so much that he told her she could have anything she wanted if she just dances for him. She did, and then said that she wanted one thing, and that was John's head on a platter. Weird request, right? Anything in the world, and you pick this. Not like all your money, or the cute guy over there in the fucking season tickets, but his head. So Herod agrees and has John beheaded. Jesus hears the news, and I can only imagine he's distraught. His good friend, relative, great man of God, gone. So Jesus goes off to be by himself.
We've been talking the last few weeks about we live on this side of the empty. Then we have this joy. It is with a lot of joy that I have Garrett, my son, up here tonight. We have 3 sons, Garrett, Donovan, and Grayson. Now, my wife and I hope is that they have a life of joy, a long life of great joy. And I've been talking about joy the last couple of weeks, and I was thinking about my son. And I said to him this week, I said, I apologize that I've been painting this thing called joy, and that it's such an easy path. And really, if you listened to me the last couple of weeks, and you're sitting there saying, okay, he talks about joy, but I don't have any, then you probably sit there thinking, what's wrong with me? Life's not easy. And you know that. And you know more than anyone, except for Beth, that I have dealt with a lot of sadness over the years. Death of your grandfathers, both of them. Your grandma's illness getting worse. Death of students. But you know, one of the greatest sorrows that I've had over the years is the mistakes I make with students. That I wish I could go, oh, I just could go back. And that seems to rob me of my joy. You remember when we all 3 went to, and Mama, Lana rode up with us and went to visit Mike and Ladina?
I do remember that.
How old were you?
I think I was 6 or 7.
How old was you? 6.
Nailed it.
You remember anything about the trip?
The one thing I do remember is that somehow we lost my brother Donovan in Mount Vernon in Washington. It was a bad day.
It was a great trip with all the Smithsonians and with all these places. And probably my favorite memory of that trip I've never forgotten is the Vietnam Memorial. We had a picture of that up there. You haven't seen it. It's a very haunting memorial. It has names of every victim written on that marble. And you're about 6, and I saw this man, and he was like up close, and he kept rubbing the name. And I remember I gave, that was after we lost Donovan, so the rest of the trip was like, we had Donovan on the road. But I remember I gave you to Elena and Donovan to Mama, and just kind of, I want to hear what this guy was saying because he was whispering. And I walked behind him and see me, and he said, he kept on saying, if only, if only I had. If only I had. And that's a very vivid moment that and that's what's going to be called regrets in life. And as you get married, have kids, whatever job the Lord leads you, ministry, vocation, whatever, you're going to have those times when you say, man, if only I wish I had done it, if only. Well, I was reading this passage, and maybe that's the mindset of Jesus. If he only had, Jesus was sad. That's his best friend. So, it's okay to be sad. Now, you'd be honest and say that in my house, our house, I am pretty much crazy, happy, irritating, annoying person.
Oh, yes.
And you notice I never let you or others be sad. And I've hurt that incredible woman over there because there's times she says, you won't let me be sad. And I apologize. Because it's okay to be sad, because there's going to be times of sunshine, there's going to be times of rain, times of sadness, times of joy. And in the beginning of our story tonight, Jesus is sad.
But what's cool to me is that in his sadness, he sees people. In his hurt, in his anguish, he has his eyes peeled for others. He could have easily left the crowd by themselves and been like, hey guys, I'm going to need a break from all this teaching and caring about others. That would have totally been cool with me if I was in that crowd that day. But instead, he has compassion on that crowd. And when I think of the word compassion, I think of my mom, right here. She exemplifies the word compassion to the extreme. Now, I have a brother. His name is Grayson. I have two brothers. Grayson is the youngest. He's kind of weird. He's kind of turned into a hipster. He had this phase of life where he had, like, exotic pets. So, first, we had Bob the hamster. What a swell hamster. By the time 1 year came around, Bob got sick, though. He started losing his hair. He turned pink. He lost all of his... I already said that. He lost all of his hair. It was ugly. It was the ugliest thing I've ever seen. But you know, my mom, being the caring, compassionate person that she was, took Bob, who cost $5. Only $5. And took Bob to an exotic pet doctor. And she probably paid close to $100 to help Bob out. And that time, we probably could have switched Bob the hamster 20 times. And Grayson wouldn't have noticed. It's not that bright. Anyway, he's great. So Bob lived probably another 6 months after this. 6 months. Grayson also, this is after Bob the hamster, he had a snake. Called him Mojo, a.k.a. William Snakespeare. Not high. Every other week we would have to feed Mojo a mouse. And no, not a frozen mouse, but a live mouse. So we get it, we put it in the cage where Mojo was. We all gather around, set up chairs, get our drinks, put bets on how long it lasts. And if we're lucky, we would see the mouse pee right before it happened. Now, my mom hated this. She couldn't go to the mouse, and definitely couldn't watch it. She had compassion on the mouse.
She wouldn't even, one time the snake didn't eat the mouse, the mouse out in the woods.
That mouse got away. Lucky dog mouse. So if my mom can have compassion on animals, then certainly I can have compassion for people, right? But what does that look like? In the book of Mark, Mark describes the crowd that Jesus talked to as sheep without a shepherd. Jesus saw these people and his heart broke. He had compassion on them. In the Greek, which is what the New Testament is written in, the word compassion translates to be moved as to one's bowels. He is moved gutturally. He is moved on the inside. To describe it in my own terms, in what I like to call Garrett terms, here we go. Earlier in the year, Brent Grimes, he's a Pro Bowl cornerback for the Atlanta Falcons. He tore his Achilles out for the year. So my reaction was, oh crap, dang it, maybe a few more choice words than that. But let's say I don't have the same feeling if I heard from a student that they don't feel loved or that they are thinking about hurting themselves. My heart breaks. I have this feeling in my stomach. My reaction goes from crap to ugh. I want to tell them I understand. I long to help you out. I long to show you God's love, and that's how Jesus felt towards this crowd of people. So he began to heal the people, not because they were worthy of his healing, but because that's just who Jesus is. That's his nature. He longs to heal everyone. Christ had very little joy, if any, when he found out about his friend John being beheaded. But he began the process of joy in himself and the others in the crowd because he saw. He observed people in need. He realized that it's not about him, but it's about others. He had compassion. He acted, and he did something.
with me. So he gets the boat to go across to some deserted place, Sea Galilee. And I don't know, either he's an awful sailor or there wasn't much wind because the people ran around and got there before him. He's trying to get away, he gets there and they go, surprise, we're here, Jesus. Great. But then Jesus looked at him and his heart broke. Yeah. That's not how God wanted him to be. Hurting, broken. He said, no, I'm going to do what I got to do. And so he went, he started healing, he started teaching, and he must have been pretty dang good that day. He mesmerized him. He had to pull it out from nowhere because he didn't have time to prepare. Right? I mean, he was so good that they forgot to eat lunch and then all going through dinner. Because the guy's cool. He was. And then probably Peter, the disciple, I don't know, he's the guy that always messes up. He said, he started getting hungry. So Peter went, hey, Jesus, hey, Mr. Jesus. Peter, one of the disciple followers, said, let's send these people home because, really, I need to eat. You know? And then Jesus looks at Peter and goes, you feed them. I wish I would have been there. 12 disciples went, They looked around and there was no McDonald's. There's no Wendy's, there's no Golden Corral buffet. First century business. And so they said, oh man, let's see what we got. And they said anywhere from 10 to 25,000 people in this group. And they couldn't find anybody with food. Well, there's one kid. Every time I read the scripture, I just think of 8-year-old Chris House. And you know, Chris is always, even if you saw Chris, not he's perfectly dressed. His red hair, he's just so anal, right? Obsessive. And I love House. But I mean, this kid said, I'm going to go see Jesus today. And he got his little Ninja Turtle lunchbox. He got him like 5 little small barley loaves, and he got him 2 little sardines. He's getting ready to eat, man. You know, open up, listen to the turtle, the turtle lunchbox. But then he sat there and said, whoa, hey, Jesus wants food. Okay, great. So then we take it up to Jesus. And Jesus is praised, I don't know what he's talking to. And then he comes, he says, disciples, hey, grab a basket, feed them. Now those weren't whales in there. They were little sardines. Okay. So I went down there and there was Garrett. I gave Garrett a fish stick. I looked down. Oh, there's another fish stick. Then I gave Chris a fish stick. I mean, the fish sticks kept appearing in there. It was really cool. And then we fed everybody. I mean, everybody. There was so much laughter. And we're just laughing. We can't believe we are eating till our bellies are full. Well, by the time there was time to go, before school began. Because he says, we can't waste this food. Because he'd been taught by his mother that kids in China don't have food. You know, he always said it to them. And so he said, hey guys, do me a favor. Go get the leftover. They brought back 12 baskets, overflowing, teeming with leftover bread. And that was a moment they never forgot.
Something that hits me is that the crowd didn't notice they were hungry. It was the disciples who brought it up. So when I look back on my life, I've had it pretty good. My dad has been a great dad. No, I'm just kidding, for real. Very encouraging, very loving. My mom is the best mom out there. My brothers, although very different, I wouldn't trade any of them, Donovan or Grayson. And yes, I even love my dog, Stella. Some of you laugh because that is not true. I'm trying to keep a straight face and say that, but I can't. That dog is from the devil. If you want stories, you can hit me up later. So growing up, I excelled in sports. I was smart. I got the grades. I mean, around the house, we didn't have to do much manual labor at all. Maybe taking the trash out all the way to the 3rd house on the street. Can't believe you made me do that. We would get mad if we had to clean up the downstairs. Mom would call down there. Yeah, is there anything down there? We'd be like, oh no, there's like 8 bowls stacked up here. Milk that was like 4 years old. Yeah, no. We even had trouble picking things up here at CCF. Just ask Neil Baker over here growing up. Let's see, I was at the church every Sunday and Wednesday. I was raised in the church, but when I was 21 years old, I began to realize that I was hungry. I'm 22. I realized that in the past, I had searched for my identity in the admiration and praise of you and Mom, trying to follow in your footsteps. I was getting my sustenance from playing soccer and chasing after accolades. I chased after acceptance. I put my worth in girls. Then all that over time added up and slapped me in the face. I came to the realization that this is not what God had intended for me in my life. I realized everything up till I was 21 was about me. I didn't have those eyes for people, that compassion that Jesus had for people. I credit being a tech grad for that. That's the first time I said that out loud. Tech grad. Pretty cool. At Tech, a lot of us have gotten here by ourselves. We were successful in school and activities outside of school while in high school. So we have this mentality coming into Tech that it's all about me. It's all about me. And being at Tech, unfortunately, doesn't help that mentality. But thankfully, people in my life have showed me that it's not about me. It's about others. So I hunger after God, after Jesus, the bread of life, the bread that sustains me. When I was 21 years old, I knew there must be more. And I don't regret that decision.
Five.
2.
Cinco.
Yes.
So it is 5 and 2. 5 and 2. Everybody hungers. So do we feed them? Do we take our gifts to Jesus? I love this message because it's a great transformation from the beginning where Jesus is grieving to the end when he's sitting there laughing. All because this kid gave this 5 and 2 to Jesus. You know? The kingdom of God's size does not matter. It's who you give the hands to. If you gave me a scalpel, without a scalpel, I could be dangerous, I could hurt you. But a scalpel in the hand of a surgeon can save a life. If you gave me a paintbrush, I would draw a stick figure. But if you put it in the hand of Van Gogh, you get a beautiful, beautiful, breathtaking mural. What's cool about this is that there's no joy at the very end. There's a carnival they're celebrating. So what was that? Sad. He sees, he serves, and he celebrates. It's sensational. You think about all the groups of people there after the meal, okay, they were all full of joy. The crowd sure was. They got a free buffet. Right? Disciples, they were ecstatic. They had joy. Jesus had joy. And what about the kid? Man, I think the kid had a lot of joy. I mean, he went home that night. Dad said, "What did you do, son?" "Well, I fed 25,000 people, Dad." "You're lying. Go to your room. You're around." I mean, there was joy all around. You know, Garrett, you have gifts and talent. Everybody in here, so everybody does this. Don't everybody put your hands up like this, okay? You don't have to if I need you, but Garrett has to. Okay, Garrett, you have gifts and talents from God. You get your athletic gift from me. But God, okay? And what you do is you sit there in college, okay, you open your hand a little bit, and you don't really want to share it. You don't realize you don't got something to share. So I think what I want you to continue on the journey that I see you doing is just get to where you go, whatever, God. Yeah? God, I'm going to give you my talents. And I'm going to send Bob, I'm going to plug it out, whatever. Because they're God's to begin with, and you want to give those gifts to God. You want to give those 5s and 2s. I mean, if you think about it, we have 5 and 2 people who made a huge difference in our life. Jim and Alma Snyder. Remember him?
I do. He's the guy who's 80 years old, but he gives me a fist pump every time I walk into church.
Right, always hands out bulletins, okay? Global Scopes came fishing around the world. It's like CSEP that we started in 95. And since 1995, Alma Snyder and Jim Snyder, every morning they pray for every missionary on the field. Every one of them. Every day. And every about 4 or 5 years, she'll send me a list in the mail, say, Rick, I need a new list. And it's just like tattered and torn. Take over. And Jim and Alice Snyder have prayed for me and Mama every freaking day since 1995. Leads the world. It's just 5 and 2. It's just 5 and 2.
I have those people in my life too. I like to call this guy the Candy Man guy. Candy cane guy. Maybe a candy cane guy. He was this homeless guy that my church brought off the street, and he would give us kids candy canes every Wednesday at church. He always remembered my name. Even on my birthday, I got 2 candy canes. He always asked me about how soccer was going, how my team was doing. And Joe, the candy cane guy, didn't have much. But he did give his 5 and 2 and made me feel special by the tiny things that he did. It's just 5 and 2.
Yeah. What do you remember about Jim Dyer?
I remember he is a selfless guy. He was a preacher. He also married my grandma late on in life.
No strange. But, yeah, he was a great preacher, great friend. And his funeral was he died about 3 years ago. And I'll never forget his funeral. His nephew Tony was a preacher, and he used this text to preach the funeral of Preacher Jim, Uncle Jim. And he used to say, all Uncle Jim was a 5 and 2. He had no talent. He wasn't that smart. You know, it wasn't like he was charismatic or anything. Just gave us 5 and 2. And then he sat there and he said, okay, there's like probably 3,000 people at that church. He went, do me a favor. Everybody here who's been married by my Uncle Jim, stand up. You know? People stood up. About 102. And he said, okay, everybody here has been baptized by Uncle Jim, stand up. About 200 more stood. About 2,600 people sitting there. Then he said this. He said, how many of you did Uncle Jim visit at the hospital or did visit somebody you cared for? Everybody said. Man, it was breathtaking. But it's just 5 and 2. Just 5 and 2.
Many of you know who Neil Baker is. If you do not, Neil is the associate minister here. He is over here. Everybody wave to Neil. It's good to see all of you. All right, so Neil, he was a part of my childhood. He hung out with me and my brothers. He came to our birthday parties. When we came up, we used to come up here for spring break. When we were on spring break back in the day, like middle school, maybe elementary school, we would come up here, hang out here in the upstairs, sleep, play Mario Kart, play hockey, and Neil would hang out with us the whole week too. He made us feel super, super cool. There's no other 12-year-olds on the planet that were friends with the likes of Neil Baker, Mark Fifield, John Huey, Phil Tatum. He was even my soccer coach at the age of 10. Go Tigers, crazy. So as I said, they came to a lot of our birthdays. Neil and friends have been known to give some great birthday presents in the Harper family. Neil chuckles over here, he knows where I'm going. One day, they've been all up to Donovan, so I don't know how that worked out. But when Donovan was about 8 years old, maybe 9, Neil was down at the house, and he gave him his present. It was a pair of Falcons tickets in this hat. Donovan's like, oh my gosh, Falcons tickets. He loves the Falcons. He's freaking out. And Neil's just over there, just sitting here, just going like this. And Neil goes like, Donovan, look at the date. Donovan's like, this was yesterday. And Neil just starts dying laughing. Expired Falcons tickets. And I don't think my grandma has talked to him since. Pretty sure she has some sort of thing against him. It doesn't end there, unfortunately. There was one time another year when Neil and the friends, probably about 4 or 5, came down for another one of Donovan's birthdays. And Neil had this hot dog that he had. So he had this hot dog, and he decides to put $5 in. You know, hot dog's a cool gift. $5 and a hot dog, awesome gift, right? So he puts it in the, I think it was in the blend maybe, so he gives it to Donovan. Donovan's like, oh, awesome, $5 in that hot dog, sweet. So he puts it over here to the side and opens up a present for mom or dad or grandma or something. And while he's opening presents, not paying attention over here, the next person in line grabs the hot dog and the $5, hides it down here for a little bit, and then it's their turn. They turn around and give him the same hot dog and the same $5 bill. This happened 5 times without him noticing. So he thought he had 5 hot dogs and $25. But in reality, he only had 1 hot dog, $5, and a broken heart. So it's just 5 and 2. Neil just gave his 5 and 2 to us.
I grew up knowing Jimmy Collins, who was the president of Chick-fil-A. Him and Truett started Chick-fil-A, so it went through all the way for 45 years. And Jimmy was in charge of operations. And 3 years ago, he retired from Chick-fil-A. You know, it was kind of cool. We got to go to the big retirement party. Chick-fil-A people from all over the states came because it's the second most important person in Chick-fil-A history. And what I couldn't believe during all the talks, everybody talking about Jimmy Grahams. Jimmy Collins, Jimmy Grahams. So what are these Jimmy Grahams? All those are the most important things ever. Every Chick-fil-A employee wants them. So what happened is, when you send in your monthly, this is the business we did last month, and if you were burning it up as the store manager, Jimmy would take out a lighter and start burning your report and blow it out and write, "You're burning it up," and send it back to him. And then if you were running over sales, Jimmy would go out, Jimmy Collins, this number 2 guy at Chick-fil-A, he'd get black ink all over his hand and put it on his tires. And then he would roll over the report back and forth saying, "You're rolling over." I mean, yeah, you're rolling over records. Okay? And send it back to Jimmy Graham. And then they talk about 18. Oh, I had 20. And they were fighting who had the most Jimmy Grahams. They put them up there. And it meant so much to these people. But it's just 5 and 2. 5 and 2.
When I was a freshman at CCF back in 2008, yes, my grandpa, your dad, Paul Harper, died. That was a tough loss. Our whole family was obviously sad and missed him. But when it happened, my freshman intern, Michael Lamont, wrote me a letter about my grandpa, and I actually have it here with me, and I'm going to read you some of it. The date is April 16th, 2008. Paul Harper was a dreamer, Garrett. He started an amazing place in Christian City, which has touched thousands of people's lives with the love of Jesus. He instilled his passion of dreaming into your father, and your dad started CCF. That dream has touched thousands of students, including myself, with God's love. So it spreads to so many people because of Paul's life. A great illustration of Paul Harper's life is a stone that falls into a still pond. It creates a ripple that spreads throughout the entire pond. To those closest to him, the ripple in their life was enormous. Those of us further removed have still been moved by him because of the ripple his life created. So Michael sent me this letter, something simple, but something that stuck with me. I get to live out Paul Harper's dream to love others and make people feel like they matter. And I take his spirit wherever I go. Again, something small, but something that made a great impact on me. It's just 5 and 2. It's just 5 and 2.
Mary Lou is my campus minister at FSU, who I call about the talks every week. And she told me about, I said, "What were your 5 and 2?" She said, "Well, you know, Lauren White, is our friend's wife, was having terminal brain tumor. It was in the journey to death. Mary Lou said, I would go over to Lauren's house every Friday and let her mama go. And I'd come in there and Lauren would sit there and say, 'Miss Mary Lou, is it Friday fun day?' And Mary Lou would come out and say, 'Yeah, Friday fun is here.' And she said all week we would do is I would take her to therapy and try to help her learn to walk again. And then we'd go by Dairy Queen on the way home and get ice cream. He said, 'Rick, it benefited me more than it benefited Lauren.' That's great. It's just 5 and 2. If you take your 5 and 2 and bring it to Jesus, Jesus can do great things. And it's interesting, if you don't have joy, that's how you get joy. You go through the same steps of Jesus, you're sad, you see, you serve, and then you celebrate. It's not that difficult. We have to be joyful Christians to entice other people to actually want to follow after our Lord. We have to learn how to create joy in our life. Bring your 5 and 2 to Jesus, and miracles will happen. The ride is incredible. The results of bringing your 5 and 2 to Jesus are invigorating. And the kingdom of God invades earth, and celebration breaks out. Let's pray. God, thank you for my 5 and 2s who have meant the world to me, for my wife, my children, those before me and those around me who have given me that 5 and 2. Father, help us realize that we can change the world if we bring the gifts to you. The kid did not feed, you did. And I want to see that kind of miracle. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. It's hard to figure out sometimes what your 5 and 2 are. We figured out yesterday that in my small groups we had to sit in a group and go around and kind of help people figure it out. So I hope you take time this week, the van ride down there on the beach, or in your small groups, and sit in a group and say, hey, what are our 5 and 2 that we can give? Because we want to take and create joy that invades the world. Tonight we're going to kind of, the staff wants to, or the interns and students want to give you a gift tonight. We have people that have it, that they want to just give it to you. You know, well, if you want appreciation, go back there, they'll appreciate you. You want to make a friend, there'll be somebody back there that's going to be your friend. All those, encourage. There's one more up here. This is going to be Alex Ferguson and Erica to help you discover what your 5 and 2. Because we want this to be, you know, it was so sad and then became like a circus at the end. With everybody eating, everybody having a good time with our story. It was so sad and it was almost like a carnival. So tonight we're going to have a CCF carnival style. Okay? When I say get out of here, we have a caramel coated apples for you. We can play Foursquare right here. We have these booths in the back to approach. We're going to have s'mores out there. And so we're going to have a carnival because we have joy. And these people want to use their 5 and 2. Please use them. So I say to you guys is let the carnival begin.